Hello everyone, this is Ayush Chatterjee, a second year student of Medical College Kolkata. In this video, we are going to focus on a very short topic, that is Gaucher's disease. So to begin with, Gaucher's disease belongs to a group of disorders also known as sphingolipidosis or lysosomal storage disease. So before going into sphingolipidosis, let us know what do you mean by sphingolipids. So as the name suggests, all sphingolipids have a common core structure, that is sphingosine plus fatty acid, sphingolipids. Now this core structure is also known as the ceramide. This core structure will be present in all different types of sphingolipids. Now let us look at the structure of sphingolipids or ceramide. So this is the structure of ceramide, and the part that I am highlighting in yellow, this one is the sphingosine, and the part I am highlighting in blue, this is the fatty acid. Now, sphingolipids can be broadly divided into two types depending on the group which is added in addition to the ceramide. If phosphate group is added to ceramide, we get sphingophospholipid, and if a sugar group is added, it is known as sphingoglycolipids. Now, sphingoglycolipids can be further divided into four types, that is cerebroside, sulfatide, globoside, and ganglioside. In this video, we are mainly going to focus on cerebroside. So what is cerebroside? Cerebroside is nothing but ceramide plus monosaccharide. So we are adding an additional monosaccharide group to the core structure, that is ceramide, to get cerebroside. Now if the monosaccharide is glucose, then the cerebroside will be known as glucocerebroside. So once glucocerebroside is synthesized in our body, suppose this is the glucocerebroside. Once it is synthesized, it becomes a part of the normal membrane of normal cells. Now, after these cells age, suppose this is the cell after aging, it will be phagocytized by the most well-known macrophage. Suppose this is the macrophage. So the aged cell will be taken up by the macrophage, including the glucocerebroside. Now inside the macrophage, we have lysosomes. So the lysosomes will take up the glucocerebroside inside it, and with the help of a lysosomal enzyme, that is beta glucocerebrosidase, as you can understand from the name, it will degrade the glucocerebroside inside the lysosome. So this is what happens in case of normal cells. Once glucocerebroside is synthesized, it gets attached to the membrane of normal cells. When the cells age, they are phagocytosed by the macrophages. Inside the macrophages, the lysosome take up the glucocerebroside, which is then being acted upon by beta glucocerebrosidase, and it is degraded. Now what happens in Gaucher's disease? So the normal physiology or the normal fate of glucocerebroside I have written in blue, and what happens in Gaucher's disease I will show in this color, that is pink. So what happens in Gaucher's disease is a mutation in the gene synthesizing the beta glucocerebrosidase enzyme. So this mutation is autosomal recessive in inheritance, and the mutation occurs in the GBA gene, which under normal circumstances will synthesize the beta glucocerebrosidase enzyme. So in case of mutation in the GBA gene, it is not able to synthesize the beta-glucocerebrosidase enzyme. So as a result, inside the lysosome, the glucocerebroside will not degrade. So what will happen as a result? More and more glucocerebroside will accumulate inside the lysosome. The macrophage will take on glucocerebroside, but it will be not able to degrade it. As more and more glucocerebroside accumulates inside the lysosome, we see a characteristic change in the appearance of the macrophage. The macrophage gets changed into something known as, so let me write it in pink, the Gaucher cell. This Gaucher cell has a characteristic appearance known as the crumpled tissue paper appearance. So this is what happens in Gaucher's disease due to a mutation in the gene which synthesizes the beta-glucocerebrosidase enzyme. Now let us look at how the Gaucher cell looks. So this is the image of a Gaucher cell. Here, this one is the Gaucher cell with a characteristic crumpled tissue paper appearance. Now Gaucher cells are characteristic of Gaucher's disease, but they are not diagnostic. This is because there is something known as the pseudo-Gaucher cell, which are similar in appearance, but they are found in chronic myeloid leukemia. So once the Gaucher cell is formed, it will accumulate in certain tissues. So from common sense, we can say that as Gaucher cells are derived from macrophages, so these cells will mainly accumulate in those tissues which contain macrophages. Now, most of the organs or tissues in our body have these cells. So I am going to give example of three main tissues, that is the bone, which have the osteoclast, spleen, and the liver cells having the Kaffir cells. Now, depending upon the tissues in which the Gaucher cells accumulate and the resulting clinical features, Gaucher's disease can be further classified into three types. That is the type 1, type 2, and type 3. So let us look them one by one. In type 1 Gaucher's disease, the Gaucher cells will mainly accumulate in these three organs, that is liver, spleen, and bone, especially the bone marrow. So what will happen if the Gaucher cells accumulate in the liver? There will be hepatomegaly, that is the liver will enlarge in size. Same will happen with the spleen, there will be splenomegaly, and as a result we know that spleen, the main function is to sequester the blood cells, that is red blood cells, platelets. So here especially the platelets will be sequestered and destroyed more and more as the spleen is enlarged in size. So as a result we will see bleeding, right? Now last of all, if the Gaucher cells accumulate in the bone marrow, very peculiarly they get stimulated and secrete large amount of cytokines. They cause inflammation and fibrosis. So if there is fibrosis in the bone marrow, it will result in a decreased RBC production, and the resulting feature will be anemia and associated fatigue. There can also be a decreased WBC production or leukopenia. Now, as a result of this accumulation and fibrosis, there can be obstruction in the vascular supply to the bone. This condition is also known as the bone crisis. So, as a result, it will result in avascular necrosis of the bone. So, these are the main clinical features what happens in type 1 Gaucher's disease. Now moving on to the next type, that is type 2 and 3. The only difference with type 1 is that both type 2 and 3 Gaucher's disease involves an additional organ, that is the brain. So let us study them separately. So what happens in type 1 Gaucher's disease? Type 2 Gaucher's disease. In type 2 Gaucher's disease, along with the clinical features of type 1, the additional features will be decreased or loss of motor skills. There will be decreased muscle tone, and also there will be muscle spasms and difficulty in swallowing. So as a result of muscle spasms, there can be paralysis of the diaphragm resulting in respiratory problems, and difficulty in swallowing can also result in choking, etc., and ultimately they may prove fatal and even result in death. Now what happens in type 3 Gaucher's disease? In type 3 Gaucher's disease, the features are same as type 2. The only thing difference is that the onset is slow. And in some patients, there has been an increased incidence of seizures also. So this is in brief about the three types of Gaucher's disease. In type 1 Gaucher's disease, we have seen that the Gaucher cells accumulate in the liver, spleen and the bone marrow. And in type 2 and 3, in addition to the above three organs, they also deposit in the brain, resulting in different neurological defects. Now how will you diagnose Gaucher's disease? Move on to the diagnosis of Gaucher's disease. The first way is by the clinical presentation. The clinical features that I have already mentioned, from that you will be able to diagnose, make an assumption that yes, that patient is suffering from Gaucher's disease. The second way you can diagnose is by measuring the glucocerebrosidase enzyme activity. This is done by a method known as the beta glucocerebrosidase leukocyte blood test. So this is the test you will perform to measure the activity of the enzyme. Another way you can diagnose Gaucher's disease is by genetic testing for the gene GBA. Now after you have diagnosed Gaucher's disease, the final step will be to treat it. Now how will you treat Gaucher's disease? Now the treatment can be simply stated as two ways. That is, we know that in Gaucher's disease the main problem is a deficiency, that is, let me write that, a deficiency of the enzyme, that is beta glucocerebrosidase. So this enzyme is deficient, but the substrate of the enzyme, that is glucocerebroside, it is synthesized normally. There is no defect in its synthesis. Now we can treat the patient in two ways. The first step, what we can do is we can either administer a synthetic or recombinant form of this enzyme, which is known as the enzyme replacement therapy. So since the enzyme is deficient, we will give a recombinant or synthetic form of the enzyme. Another way we can treat is we can decrease the substrate. So if there is no glucocerebroside, they will not accumulate in the lysosome and the macrophage will not change into Gaucher cell. So to do that, we give something known as substrate reduction pills. So this is a very simple treatment. So we can do it in two ways. Either we increase the enzyme which is deficient, or we decrease the substrate which is present in normal amounts, but as compared to the enzyme it is more. So this was in brief about the Gaucher's disease. We learned about the first the sphingolipids, then what is a cerebrocyte, what is a glucocerebrocyte. Then we learned about what happens normally, the fate of glucoside, how it is engulfed by macrophage and degraded. And then we learned what happens in Gaucher's disease due to the deficiency of the enzyme glucocerebrosidase. Then we saw how the Gaucher cell looks under the microscope. Then we learned about three types of Gaucher's disease, type 1, type 2 and type 3. In type 1, the Gaucher cells will accumulate in mainly liver, spleen and bone marrow, and as a result we will find associated symptoms. In type 2 and 3, in addition to the above three organs, the Gaucher cells will also accumulate in the brain. As a result, we will find loss of motor skills, decreased muscle tone, and especially in type 3 we will find seizures. Then we learned about the diagnosis, how we will diagnose Gaucher's disease, and last but not the least, how we will treat Gaucher's disease. So I hope this video was of help to all of you, and thank you all of you for watching this video. I will be back soon with a new video, and till then, stay safe, stay happy, and study. Thank you.